But does tomorrow night's game is a little bit more important just to get back on the winning track in terms of just
Probably.
put yourself in?
Probably. You know, we're playing a great team. I assume Iowa State went to 2.
They did.
So, yeah, we're playing a terrific team and probably the best team that TJ's had. And he's had some really good ones. So, absolutely to that point, yeah, we need to get back on the right track. But understanding also that you know, it's also mid-January, and you don't want to stress that this game is actually bigger than what it actually is, even though we all realize it's a big game, in large part because we haven't played well, since league play started.
How do you help your players keep that perspective, like understand how early it is and that there's time to turn things around?
We've talked about it. The thing about it is, we talked about it. We talked about the difference in a college football playoff and a NCAA basketball playoff. We talked about all that yesterday, as a matter of fact. So, whether or not they totally grasp it and understand it, but it is the reality in which we live in, that basketball's different than obviously the way the football is set up. Even though football's better than the way it used to be.
Well,
I'm curious when you go back. Oh, you can go, Gary.
how, I know the defense was ranked in the top 5 in the country before Christmas. What's the difference?
I don't think our intensity, our making others play bad, get them out of comfort zones. A lot of times your defense can look better than what it is when other teams miss shots and balls bounce your way, and sometimes your defense looks worse than what it actually is. But based on Huff made 3 off of really hard shots, but that's what he does. So we can't be surprised by that. But the biggest thing is that I don't think our physicality and being able to just like them backing us down on the post multiple times there whenever they made their run, we didn't put up much resistance, which I think is certainly an elephant that we have to play stronger, but we also got to play tougher.
Maybe you mentioned it there, but in terms of opponent three-point shooting, for a long time it was 25%. Over the last 3 games, I think it's like 40. When you go back and look at the tape, do you view things as, this is kind of variance, or is it allowing guys to get to specific spots they like? Like, how do you evaluate kind of the three-point defense?
I don't think it's as much guys getting to different spots. Like the other day, they made 4 threes in the first half that we actually wanted them to take. And then, Huff threw in 1 or 2 more that by scout report, by percentages, that's probably the percentage play. And they made us pay for doing that. So a lot of that stuff is on us. I will say the best defensive teams probably have the mindset, we're not going to let anybody score or get off good looks regardless of percentages. And we probably didn't do a good job with that the other day. But just take it for what it's worth. They made us, we were up 4 at halftime, and they played lights out with guys scoring the ball in ways that they hadn't been scoring the ball. So give them credit on that. And in the second half, they just played better than us.
And when you look at Iowa State, what stands out about TJ's team?
Really play well together. Last year they had Gilbert and Jones out there on the perimeter with Lipsey and Jefferson and Jackson, and that's a good 5, and can score from 4 spots. And Jackson was a load. It really hurt us at their place last year. But I think last year we also caught them when Monsilovic wasn't quite as effective as what he's been this year. He's been great. He's probably the best percentage shooter in the country. And then, of course, they've always had standout guard play. And the thing about it is, they've always been good defensively, but they're better defensively now with the freshman guard, Torrey. I mean, he's good. And he's probably about as good a perimeter defender as we have in our league. So that'll be a big challenge. And then they share the ball offensively. And, you know, TJ said the other day that he thought he had the best point guard in the country in Lipsy after the Baylor game, which you can make a case for that when you talk about winning and all that stuff. No doubt about that. But what's amazing about that statement is their foreman has 10 more assists on the year than he does. So that just tells you how good Jefferson is playing. If I'm not mistaken, you guys can look it up. I think it's about 80 and 70. But that just tells you how well he's playing also.
Bill, Darren's had plenty on his mind and been working through a lot, obviously. Have you gotten the on-court leadership that you thought you'd get from him, or is that coming still, or where's that?
I think it's still coming. I think right now he's trying to survive more so than he is probably be everything to everybody. He's probably, thinking, well, God, if I just stay out there, that kind of stuff. And so not an excuse, but that's the reality of probably where he's been. And certainly it'll come more and more, but probably not to near the level that we thought it would be yet.
It can get there? I mean, because I remember you talking about it last year, even looking ahead.
I don't know why it can't get there.
Okay.
But the whole thing is there's got to be some things physically that he probably feels better, which in turn makes him more mentally prepared to do all those things.
Bill, kind of with Darren, I think he's played 30 to 32 in the last few games. Is that kind of where you expect the minutes going to be at? And are you expected to be a little more front-loaded? I know he's played in the first half, 18, both the last two first halves, and then 13 or so in the second half.
I don't know. You ask a good question that I do not have an answer for. There's no prediction on when or if things are going to start bothering him in the second half. There's also no indication that we know of that the load actually impacts when that actually occurs. No indication of that whatsoever. So when I say we can do that, that's a guess that could potentially help, because in practice we haven't had any indications, regardless of the load, that actually impacts it. So if that makes any sense to you. So whether we put him out there for 75 minutes in practice as opposed to 45 minutes, he feels the exact same way at the end of the 75 as he does at 45. So there's probably no medical way to actually determine what the best thing is. But to your point, if we're in a situation where we can do that, that would be nice. That would be nice.
And kind of building off that, did he have cramping issues again in the West Virginia game?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did.
Okay, Coach, kind of building off of that a little bit, thinking back to the Mizzou game, I believe you said that the players seemed to be a little more flat-footed when Darren was on the floor. It was kind of like they were maybe reserving a little bit so he could shine. Wondering if you still kind of feel that way, if you think it's getting a little bit better now that he's getting a little bit more playtime.
I do think it's better. It's not where it needs to be, though. But I do think it's better. I think there's too many guys that lose aggressiveness to defer, and Melvin was probably as guilty as anybody. But I do think it's better, but I don't think by any stretch we're where we need to be in that regard.
How do you kind of improve that, I guess? Is it conversations? Is it just more running it at practice?
I think it's both. I think conversations, a lot of times talk is, guys get tired of listening to me talk, and it's got to become practical But the reality of it is, we talk about it a lot, which hopefully will help enforce what we need from everybody, with or without. I actually think the best teams that we've had here in them throughout whatever, you may tweak a little bit, but you don't change how you play based on one guy being in the game or not. You may tweak saying, well, we're not going to run this play, or we're not going to throw it inside as much, or we're going to try to throw it inside more, or whatever. But the concepts on how you get to it don't change. I feel like that we have lost some aggressiveness, obviously, and movement and ball and body movement, when there's an uncertainty on is he in, is he not? I think that we can improve on that. But to be honest with you, we shouldn't be surprised that we're experiencing that, because you practice with the first group, but you don't play in the games, and then for obvious reasons, because he wasn't quite there. But we're hopeful every day that he was going to be there. So you practice like he's going to be there, and then he just wasn't. So nobody's fault, but it's probably set us back definitely a couple of weeks.
On film, how did the changes you guys made against ball screens look in the last game?
Well, we didn't switch as much last game.
Yeah.
I thought we switched up in some key times that was actually very good, and then we actually looked very poor at it a couple of times where we switched late or whatnot. But I thought, you look at it, Henry, from a totality standpoint, you can't say that we did something well at all. We stunk on that end of the court. We scored enough points to win, and we didn't get it done. The thing that there are in tennis, all points are important, but there's certain points that are much more important than winning a match. If you get a chance to break serve, you have to win that point. In basketball, you could make the same deal when things are not going well and you've got to grind and you need to win this possession or whatnot. There's certain possessions that lead to things after that are just more important at that time. And it seemed like to me the other night we didn't win the most important possessions.
Coach, you mentioned the college football playoffs. Is there any possibility or chance that a parallel can be made with your sport, with basketball, in terms of with what Indiana is doing, a non-traditional powerhouse in the sport, taking a big step and all of a sudden becoming a real threat to all the big dogs and changing things for a season?
I'm not an expert. It looks like to me that there's a lot of things going right with that situation, and you get a transfer in and he happens to win the Heisman Trophy. I mean, there's a lot of things that go right with that, which their staff and of course all the players deserve the credit for. But could this have occurred 5 years ago? I'd say absolutely not. I don't know that the Heisman Trophy winner is transferring to Indiana 5 years ago. Not saying it couldn't have happened, because his brother was there and there were extenuating circumstances, I know. But I would say the fact of the matter that kids wouldn't even transfer because nobody wanted to sit out, and so it's a different world, and it's certainly impacted college basketball too. But it is the world in which we live in, and but that by no means is that a reason for not having success. That it's no excuse. Everybody needs to adjust, and everybody has the opportunity to adjust, and as long as you can spend money, there's absolutely no excuses on not adjusting. But I think the Indiana deal, there's been say whatever reasons you have, I don't even know if it's arguably You have the best football player in America, along with the best coach and the staff in America this particular year, and everything else going right. It's pretty tough formula to deal with.
Bill, after Saturday's loss, in your own way of saying it, that playing these conference games has become the hardest it's maybe ever been.
Yeah.
Does that place a greater emphasis on protecting home court?
I think it does. I think to your point, you know, people can say whatever they want to. We played 3 really good teams the day they played us, because large part they played really well, and then we didn't do anything to keep them from playing well. I think that's a fair statement. That would be hard to disagree with. But with that being said, what I've said all along about our league is most leagues give the appearance of being top heavy and bottom heavy. This league doesn't give that appearance at all. This league gives the appearance of being very top heavy and middle heavy, and which makes all the games hard. So if you don't play well, there's a good chance you're not going to be successful. The one thing that is ultimately different is if you just have more talent than everybody every time you line up, then you still have a chance not to be very good and still get a W. The bottom line with us, we don't have that margin for error, which most teams in America don't. You got to bring it every night, and we haven't consistently done that since the league started. So matter of fact, we've probably only done it just a sample size of minutes, potentially what we could. So it does make the home court seem even more valuable. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Oh, Gary?
Since the game, what's the mental framework of the team? What's the mood of the team?
I actually was very encouraged Sunday, and I was very encouraged yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday, and from the little bit I've talked to the guys today, I'm encouraged. So we'll see how it works. But yesterday was a good day. You guys obviously have to ask the questions, but sometimes our communication, our time with the guys isn't exactly what you guys think it has been. Like, we haven't lived with them since Saturday. We did meet yesterday, we watched tape, and we walked over what we need to walk over, but as far as a full-on practice and everything, we hadn't done that yet since our game, so that'll be today.
Do you want a lot out of the seniors when things are not going as well? And do you think they're stepping up?
I don't think that Trey and Melvin have been bad at all. And isn't that our seniors that play, basically? I also think in today's time, sometimes a sophomore may be more experienced and valuable to you in your program than actually a senior that's just getting there. So I think the senior leadership is important, but I don't know that teams across America have as much senior leadership as if they would if the guy's been in the program 4 years.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, guys.
Thanks.